The year was 2374, and humanity had long since ventured beyond the confines of its own solar system, seeking new alliances, resources, and truths among the stars. Earth had become a member of the Galactic Union, a consortium of various alien civilizations that had mastered interstellar travel and communication. On a routine diplomatic mission, Captain Elena Mirov, commanding officer of the starship Voyager 4, encountered a distress signal emanating from an uncharted system. The source was a small, seemingly uninhabited planet with a dense, fog-like atmosphere that interfered with sensors. The signal was crude and unrefined, suggesting a primitive or hastily constructed transmitter. Elena decided to investigate, driven by protocol and a deep-seated curiosity that was characteristic of all explorers. As Voyager 4 descended through the thick clouds, her crew was met with a surprising sight: sprawling structures and high-tech facilities, starkly contrasting with the primitive nature of the distress call. Upon landing, the crew was greeted not by the advanced civilization they expected, but by a group of distinctly feminine alien creatures, humanoid but with skin in various shades of blue and green. They introduced themselves as the Illyrians, the dominant species of the planet. The Illyrians were gracious yet solemn, and it didn't take long for their leader, a tall figure named Zara, to reveal the reason for their distress. The Illyrian population was facing a crisis of survival. Infertility had swept through their kind, leaving them on the brink of extinction. Zara explained that despite their advanced technology, they had been unable to reverse the condition plaguing their species. Their scientists had concluded that the only viable solution lay in the genetic material from beings not of their planet. Humanity, with its close genetic makeup yet sufficient variance, presented a potential key to their survival. Elena listened intently, her mind racing with the implications of what was being asked of humanity. The Illyrians needed human volunteers to help revitalize their population through a careful, respectful process they had developed, which they referred to as the joining. As the implications settled, Elena knew that this was more than a mere diplomatic mission. It was a call for a profound collaboration that could change the trajectory of two species forever. She communicated the situation back to Earth, requesting guidance and preparing for the lengthy discussions and ethical debates that would surely follow. Her report concluded with a note of personal reflection. The Illyrians, with their advanced culture and desperate plight, had shown her a new dimension of the universe's complexity. The mission had evolved from a simple exploration to a test of humanity's empathy and willingness to extend a hand to those in need. As the sun set on the alien landscape, casting long shadows over the metallic surfaces of the Illyrian city, Elena felt the weight of the decisions ahead. The future of the Illyrians, and perhaps the role of humanity in the galaxy, hung delicately in balance. In the heart of the Illyrian complex, a vast circular chamber served as the meeting place for discussions of great importance. The walls, embedded with bioluminescent panels, cast a soothing light over the assembled figures. Human diplomats, scientists, and a carefully selected group of volunteers sat facing the Illyrian Council, with Zara at its head. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation as Dr. Leah Kim, the lead geneticist from Earth, presented the proposed protocols for the joining. Leah explained that the process involved a sophisticated form of genetic integration that was facilitated by Illyrian technology, allowing for the creation of a new generation of Illyrians carrying human genetic traits. As she detailed the procedures, the holographic displays in the center of the room illustrated each step, from genetic sampling to the artificial gestation process. The technology was non-invasive and respected the physical and emotional well-being of all participants. Questions flowed from both sides, focusing on the technicalities and ethical dimensions of the initiative. Illyrian concerns were primarily about the preservation of their cultural identity, while human representatives debated the implications of altering the course of another species' evolution. Meanwhile, outside the chamber, the chosen volunteers mingled with Illyrian citizens in organized cultural exchange sessions. These interactions were designed to build trust and understanding, crucial for the success of such an intimate collaboration. Among the volunteers was Alex Carter, an anthropologist who had spent his career studying human interactions with alien cultures. His fascination with the Illyrians grew as he learned of their arts, history, and the profound connection they felt to their dying world. One evening, as the twin moons of the planet cast a soft glow over the gardens of the complex, Alex found himself in conversation with an Illyrian named Lyra. She shared her personal story, a tale of loss and hope that mirrored the stories of many around her. Lyra spoke of the world she dreamed of for her potential children, one filled with the songs and colors of a thriving Illyrian culture, now possible through the help of humanity. Back in the negotiation chamber, an agreement was finally shaped. It was meticulously drafted to ensure mutual respect for sovereignty and consent. The document was a testament to the collaborative spirit that had evolved over the weeks of discussion. As the agreement was signed, there was a palpable sense of relief and hope. The ceremony was brief but charged with emotion, marking the beginning of a new era for both the Illyrians and humanity. The pact was not just a scientific or diplomatic venture. It was a commitment to shared survival and mutual prosperity. With the formalities concluded, the practical work began. Facilities were prepared for the initial phase of the joining, and the first group of volunteers, including Alex, prepared for their roles in this historic endeavor. They underwent thorough medical and psychological evaluations, ensuring they were fully informed and prepared for the process. As Alex walked towards the medical unit for his final clearance, he felt a mix of apprehension and awe. He was about to participate in something greater than himself, a narrative of interstellar cooperation and the potential birth of a new chapter in the story of life itself. Inside the clinical yet comforting environment of the Illyrian medical facility, the air was thick with sterile scents and the soft, ambient hum of advanced medical machinery. The room was designed to soothe. Its curved walls and gentle lighting were a far cry from the stark metallic harshness of typical human medical bays. Here, Alex and the other volunteers were to undergo the initial phase of the joining. Leah Kim supervised as the Illyrian medical experts administered the first treatments. The process involved the integration of human DNA into Illyrian embryonic cells, facilitated by a device resembling an intricate sculpture, glowing with an inner light. The device was not only a tool, but a symbol of Illyrian artistry and technology, designed to blend biological science with cultural reverence. As the procedure commenced, Alex lay back, his eyes fixed on the shifting patterns of light playing across the ceiling. The process was painless, a testament to Illyrian advancements in genetic manipulation and human medical ethics. He felt a curious detachment, wondering about the new life forms his DNA would now help create. Each participant's genetic material was coded to prevent any future mingling outside the controlled parameters of the joining, ensuring that all changes were confined to this project. Outside the medical facility, the impact of the joining began to ripple through the societies of both species. News feeds on Earth and across Illyrian networks buzzed with updates and debates. This historic collaboration was watched with hopeful eyes by many, while others voiced concerns about the unforeseen consequences of such deep interference with nature. As weeks turned into months, the Illyrian city became a second home to the volunteers. Cultural exchanges deepened into genuine friendships and mutual respect. Alex, who had initially kept a professional distance, found himself drawn into the fabric of Illyrian society, often spending evenings discussing philosophy and art with his new friends. Lyra, in particular, became a close companion, sharing her insights into Illyrian lore and the ethical dimensions of their shared endeavor. Meanwhile, in the laboratories, the first successful integrations were confirmed. The Illyrian scientists, along with Leah and her team, watched as the embryonic cells began to divide, showing all the signs of healthy development. This success was celebrated with a quiet, respectful ceremony in the Illyrian tradition, attended by all the volunteers and many citizens. It was not just a scientific milestone, but a symbolic union of their hopes and dreams. However, not all were at peace with the unfolding events. A faction within the Illyrian Council began to voice louder doubts about the long-term implications of introducing human DNA into their lineage. They worried about dilution of their heritage and the potential for future conflicts over the rights of the new generations. These concerns culminated in a formal request for a pause in the operations, pending further review. This request hit the community hard, stirring a mix of emotions among all involved. Debates ensued, with representatives from both species striving to find a balance between scientific progress and cultural integrity. Alex found himself caught in the middle, his relationships with the Illyrians making him a key figure in mediating the discussions. As the review process dragged on, the initial optimism of the joining was tested. The challenge was no longer just scientific or diplomatic. It had become a profound exploration of identity, ethics, and the future of two intertwined destinies. The pause in the operations of the joining cast a shadow over the Illyrian city. Tensions that had simmered beneath the surface of the diplomatic facade began to surface, challenging the unity and resolve of both the human and Illyrian leaders. The council's chambers, once a place of hope and collaboration, became arenas of heated debate and ideological confrontation. In the midst of these growing tensions, a sudden incident at one of the integration facilities provided a stark reminder of the stakes involved. An unexpected genetic anomaly was detected in one of the embryonic developments, an unforeseen mutation that, while not harmful, deviated significantly from both human and Illyrian genetic norms. This development triggered a wave of fear and uncertainty, propelling the dissenting Illyrian faction to call for an immediate and indefinite halt to the joining. Leah Kim and her team worked tirelessly to analyze the mutation, hoping to reassure both communities that it was a manageable anomaly, not a harbinger of danger. Their findings suggested that the mutation was a natural result of combining such diverse genetic materials, an outcome that, in many ways, embodied the essence of evolution itself. Alex, drawn deeper into the scientific and ethical complexities, found himself acting as a liaison between the scientists and the Illyrian public, translating complex genetic data into comprehensible insights. His evenings with Lyra and other Illyrian friends grew more intense as they debated the meaning of purity, evolution, and survival. Amid this crisis, a surprising advocate for continuing the joining emerged from the Illyrian cultural sector. A renowned artist and philosopher, Morel, whose works had long celebrated the beauty of Illyrian genetic heritage, delivered a public address that reframed the debate. Morel argued that evolution was an artistic and cultural process as much as a biological one. By accepting and embracing these genetic brushstrokes, the Illyrians could see themselves as active participants in the canvas of life, not merely subjects of genetic preservation. Morel's perspective resonated, easing some of the fears. Public opinion began to shift, and the discussions in the council chambers took on a new tone, focusing more on how to manage and understand the genetic innovations rather than stopping them outright. Meanwhile, the human volunteers, feeling the weight of their roles in these unprecedented events, organized a symposium to share their thoughts and experiences. They invited Illyrians to attend, hoping to reinforce the shared goals and mutual benefits of the joining. Alex spoke of the deep connections he had formed and how they had changed his understanding of what it meant to be human in an interstellar community. As the symposium concluded, the council announced its decision to resume the joining, but with increased oversight and more frequent reviews. This resolution was a compromise, satisfying neither side completely, but allowing the project to move forward with cautious optimism. In the labs, Leah and her team adjusted their protocols to monitor for similar anomalies and to better understand the integration of human and Illyrian DNA. They developed new screening techniques, ensuring that any further deviations were detected early and studied extensively. The resumption of the joining marked a new phase in the project, characterized by vigilance and a deeper appreciation of the complexities involved in creating new life across species. As Alex returned to the integration facility, ready to continue his part in this historic undertaking, he felt a renewed sense of purpose. This was no longer just about survival. It was about the creation of a new form of life, one that might one day reflect on its origins with pride and wonder. As the joining project resumed, the integration facilities became hives of activity, buzzing with the renewed energy and focus of both human and Illyrian teams. With each successful integration, the data accumulated, offering invaluable insights into the genetic interplay between the two species. Despite the meticulous oversight, The spirit of exploration and discovery permeated the atmosphere, driving the project forward with a palpable sense of momentum. However, outside the controlled environments of the labs, the broader implications of the joining continued to stir complex emotions and debates within the community. In cafes and public forums, Illyrians and humans alike gathered to discuss their hopes and fears about the future identities of the hybrid offspring. These discussions often veered into philosophical territories, questioning the nature of identity and the potential for coexistence between species with such fundamentally intertwined destinies. Meanwhile, in the heart of the city, a cultural festival was organized by both Illyrian and human communities to celebrate the continued cooperation. The festival featured art, music, and culinary exchanges that highlighted the richness of both cultures. Alex and Lyra co-hosted a popular booth, where they showcased traditional human and Illyrian games, drawing large crowds eager to engage in this new form of cultural diplomacy. During the festival, a temporary exhibition was unveiled, displaying the genetic artistry involved in the joining. Here, holographic projections illustrated the fusion of DNA strands, artistically rendered to emphasize the beauty of genetic diversity. Morel, the Illyrian philosopher-artist, presented a series of lectures on the concept of genetic harmony, which quickly became the central theme of the festival. Amidst the celebrations, a group of Illyrian traditionalists staged a peaceful yet poignant protest at the edge of the festival grounds. They carried banners depicting the Illyrian helix unbroken and pure, symbolizing their desire to maintain genetic continuity without human interference. Their presence was a solemn reminder of the ongoing internal conflicts about the project. The response to the protest was measured and respectful. Organizers set up dialogue booths where protesters and supporters could engage in mediated discussions. Alex participated as a mediator, where his deep understanding of both cultures allowed him to navigate the conversations with empathy and insight. These dialogues proved fruitful, reducing tensions and increasing understanding, though they did not completely resolve the underlying concerns. Back in the scientific domain, Leah reported that the first fully integrated embryos were nearing a developmental milestone. She invited a group of Illyrian council members and human diplomats to witness the first controlled growth simulations. The simulations used advanced Illyrian technology to predict physical and developmental traits of the hybrids, providing a glimpse into the future of the species. The event was a success, showcasing potential outcomes that combined the best traits of both species: increased resilience, adaptability, and a blend of aesthetic features that neither species could have predicted. This demonstration helped to assuage many doubts, reinforcing the project's scientific and ethical foundations. However, the successful integration and the positive public response did little to quell all dissent. In quieter, more private settings, leaders from both communities met to discuss the long-term implications of creating a new species. These discussions were charged with the responsibility of drafting policies to ensure the rights and integrations of the hybrids into society, anticipating the complex social dynamics that would arise from their unique heritage. As the festival drew to a close and the night sky bloomed with fireworks symbolizing unity and coexistence, Alex and Lyra stood together, reflecting on the journey that had brought them to this point. They realized that while the joining was a scientific project, its true impact was profoundly personal, reshaping how every individual thought about identity, legacy, and community. The completion of the first growth cycle of the hybrid embryos marked a significant milestone for the joining. The embryos, now viable and stable, were transferred to specialized nurturing chambers designed to simulate the ideal conditions for their development. The chambers, a blend of human and Illyrian technology, represented the pinnacle of collaborative scientific achievement, equipped with adaptive systems to adjust to the unique needs of each developing hybrid. In the control room adjacent to the nursery, scientists from both species monitored every parameter with precision and care. The atmosphere was a blend of tense anticipation and quiet hope. Dr. Leah Kim, alongside her Illyrian counterpart, Dr. Soren, reviewed the data continuously, ensuring that the first signs of life were supported by the best that science and compassion could offer. As news of the successful transition spread, the communities began to prepare for the arrival of the new beings. Educational programs were developed, integrating knowledge from both human and Illyrian cultures, designed to help the hybrids understand their dual heritage. Legal frameworks were also established, guaranteeing the hybrids' rights and defining their status within both societies. These frameworks were groundbreaking, as they had to encompass aspects of citizenship, identity, and rights that were previously unconsidered. Alex, deeply involved in cultural integration efforts, worked with Lyra to create public engagement initiatives. Together, they launched a series of interactive broadcasts and workshops that detailed the progress of the joining and the expected societal impacts of the hybrids' integration. Their work helped to demystify the scientific processes and highlighted the shared benefits and challenges ahead. Meanwhile, within the political echelons of the Galactic Union, the success of the joining began to stir broader discussions about the ethical implications of interspecies genetic collaboration. Representatives from various planets watched closely, some considering similar projects to address their own existential threats, others debating the moral considerations of such profound genetic intermingling. As the expected time of emergence approached, a sense of quiet descended upon the nursery. The teams reduced their presence, allowing for a more natural environment for the first moments of consciousness. The entire facility was placed under a gentle lockdown, not just for security, but to provide a serene atmosphere for what was about to occur. The moment of emergence was broadcast live across both Earth and Illyrian networks. People from both worlds watched as the first hybrid, a delicate being with features reminiscent of both species, opened its eyes to see a room filled with attentive, caring faces. Its skin bore the light blue tinge of the Illyrians, and its eyes, large and expressive, showed the clear influence of its human lineage. The hybrid's first breath was a symbol of new life and a new future. It was a profound moment, resonating not just with those who witnessed it directly, but with everyone who had followed the project. The being was named Elara, a blend of Earth and Illyria, symbolizing the unity and hope of both worlds. As Elara and her peers grew, they showed traits that were both distinctly human and Illyrian, yet also something entirely new. They were quick learners, displaying a natural affinity for both technology and art, embodying the strengths of their parent species. Their development was a source of widespread fascination and hope, proving that life could thrive in the union of diversity. Years later, as the first generation of hybrids began to take their place in society, their impact was palpable. They bridged the gap between humans and Illyrians, serving as ambassadors, scholars, and leaders. The project